a few comments about this because my family, my parents, and my husband's parents split the cost of the wedding. And I realized that traditionally the bride does pay for the wedding. And I actually married into a family where that family had paid for the wedding for their daughter. And so they had assumed that my family would pay. And it was definitely a conversation on why my family was not going to pay for the entire wedding. And it wasn't an uncomfortable conversation, but for me, the cultural tradition of women paying for a wedding feels really outdated if the reason you're doing it is just by tradition. If there is a real reason you're doing it that you've thought about deeply, that really connects to a dowry in that sense, if your cultural traditions lead you to that for a legitimate financial reason, if you as a bride want a huge wedding that literally your spouse's family can't afford, I can see reasons why the cost might not be equivalent. But all things even in terms of families being able to contribute, I think that a wedding cost should absolutely be split. And if you look back at women's rights in US history, women were legally disabled until like 1920. Like they literally were appendages of a man. So if you look at the Grimke sisters, who were an amazing pair of sisters, they were abolitionists and feminists in the 1820s. In 1838, they published a document called Equality of the Sexes, and they list all the ways that women were legally disabled. And in there, they talk about women were actually just property of their dad. And when they got married, they became property of their husband. So you were just switching between being owned by your father and being owned by your husband. And that's what the institution of marriage was. And that's why you changed your name, because you were now the appendage of that man. So there was no world where I was seeing marriage through that lens of someone else owning me, someone else controlling me. And when the bride is paying, it's connected to this concept of a dowry where a woman is paying because she's not going to be working. And so I think there are lots of reasons why you decide how to split the cost of a wedding, but 100%, if it is based on the cultural traditions of this is what happened in the 1820s, I do not think that is a legitimate reason to not split the cost of a wedding.